Fundamentally, you can choose between two types of podcasts, right? And they both have pros and cons. Now, you can do an interview style show or a monologue show. An interview style positions the guest as the asset. It puts the guest at the core and allows for more diversity and potential for social sharing among their network, right? But a monologue show, on the other hand, makes you the main attraction, positions you as the authority, and builds your personal brand. So, an important but distinct nuance there. You can also do a mix, either staggering your approach per episode or integrating both styles within individual episodes. So that really makes for four options. There's no right or wrong way to do it. What's infinitely more important is consistency in publishing, differentiation of your show versus others, and having the stamina to stick to it for the long haul. In 2019, when I was at 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗡𝗡, we launched a podcast called Marketer Plus Machine. We quickly got good momentum by bringing on MarTech experts, producing interesting episodes that weren't jargony or self-promotional, and having guests and our employees share like crazy. But new management nixed the show in 2021 since it's hard to prove how podcast ties directly to numbers. One of the main downfalls of the medium in general. Attribution is notoriously vague. Still, it was a good partner marketing program, customer success platform, and traffic generator for the company. It also proved to me that enterprises can succeed with podcasting just as unattached creators can. Today, the mandate for podcasters running a Q&A show, if you really want to go all in, is to sit down with your guests in person, get a crew and equipment to record, and make a whole production out of it. While not mandatory, this kind of investment will increase your chances of success. Now, for monologue style shows, recording yourself on video is ideal so that you can share your show in multiple formats. Plus, investing in editing, releasing episodes regularly, and cross promoting them across your platforms is critical. A note on monetization: don't start a podcast just to make money off of it. In order to have enough leverage to charge sponsors or guests, you really have to build your listenership significantly with at least several hundred listeners, ideally a few thousand. Then you can start monetizing. Then your podcast can actually become its own product where you can execute sponsored interviews, charging guests to come onto the show. This isn't my preferred podcast monetization strategy, as it slightly compromises the authenticity of your show and does nothing to aid goodwill on the guest side. But if you can do it, do it. Affiliate brand deals are a better option, though the best way to make money from a podcast is to promote your own product and slide in scarce plugs for that. Assuming you're doing an interview style show like the majority of podcasters decide to do, there's a few different ways to find guests. My preferred method is manual outreach from a wish list. So research and list out a dream 100 and just start reaching out and connecting with them over email, Instagram, LinkedIn. Shoot for the moon here. You never know who you might be able to land. You never know who might take you up on the offer. And as you grow your show, the chances of landing higher profile people go up too. In the meantime, use two-sided platforms like matchmaker.fm, which is my favorite, and Guestio to find guests who have created profiles to get booked. I've met almost all my guests from Matchmaker. Now, send as many pitches as you can each week using the templates linked to in this lesson. These websites are very intuitive and easy to use. And then thirdly is recommendations, referrals, and pitches from booking agents. On my intake questionnaire for guests, I have a question to fill out asking who the guest would like to see on my show. This creates a mini flywheel of kind of mutual acquaintances that I can always tap into if need be. I also get pitches weekly from assistants working to book their clients, most of whom are CEOs, authors, or other podcasters who are working to get that earned media. I have had 2 or 3 really poor interviews where I just could not use the content. The guest either deviated badly from the topic that I thought we were going to chat on, or it was just too difficult to understand due to maybe like a language barrier. In both instances, that reflected an error on my end for failing to do proper diligence. So as a rule of thumb, I won't invite someone onto my show now if I cannot find existing videos or audios of them to ensure that it will be a fruitful partnership for both of us. I also prefer guests who are experts in their field, who have a large social following in the tens of thousands, and who agree to promote the show to their audience after I put in all of the work of producing the asset, which is a free publicity gift for them. Before interviewing guests, Put in 15 to 30 minutes researching their history, digging through their website, skimming their social media, and watching previous interviews so that you can get a sense for who they are and what might be interesting to bring up. Then prepare a one-page guest guide to send over to them a week or two before the interview. This should outline all housekeeping info that they need to know, including a conversation outline, key bullet points that you'll ask about, plus particulars on the time, place, and link to log in for the recording if you're conducting Q&As online. I also included the template to that on this lesson. So the next step after that is to conduct the actual interview. Now, some podcasters prefer to have an intro call before the show to get to know the guest informally, make sure that they're a normal person and get a sense for their story. This is optional, but it could be helpful to eliminate the slight awkwardness that's bound to come up with chatting alongside another person on an intimate stage. Also, video is recommended. I've used live stream tools like StreamYard, which works great for virtual interviews. You can customize everything there or download the raw recording afterwards to cut it up elsewhere. If being done virtually, you'll need a boom mic like the one I have here, a recording studio like the one I have behind me, and great lighting, which I discuss more in the next lesson. Now, in terms of like nervousness, awkwardness, and overcoming a bit of imposter syndrome, I can tell you, yes, those things will be there at the beginning. They're a byproduct of putting it all out there, of making videos and producing content online. But like anything else, you'll have to find your voice and generate some evidence of success for yourself in order to fuel further confidence. I'll also say interviewing is absolutely a skill. I studied journalism in college, so not that I use it now, but I was trained to ask provoking questions to people in order to evoke nuanced responses. That's the key to being a great interviewer, asking complex questions that the guest has never been asked before. You also want to aim to remain neutral, slow down in your questioning, make no assumptions, and personalize every question. Tim Ferriss does this really, really well. He's deliberate, detailed, yet defined in his question asking. Let's look at one example. So start questions by making a statement about them, followed by a question. So something like this. In 2014, you were in Dubai living this life, as you said, of extravagance and luxury. But then you had to come back here to the States for family reasons, and things really changed. I'm curious, give a little context of how you handled that sharp emotional turn at the time and what it revealed about yourself. This is a good question because it's very descriptive, which will evoke a much more thoughtful response, but it's also open-ended enough to let the guest take it wherever they want. And it gets at the why, not the who or how or when or how much. There's no definite answer, no black and white response. It forces the guest to think, to analyze, and replay the event in question. Guests love questions like this, personalized, in depth, but at the same time, wide open to the point where they can go wherever they want. These are the kinds of exploratory inquisitions that will make for excellent interviews that guests and listeners will both love. And then lastly is preparing and publishing your episode for dissemination. So, there are production companies and agencies whose entire business is editing videos and audios and who specialize in podcasting. But if you're an individual like me running your own show and you have the chops, you can do it yourself or just hire a contractor to help. Now, if you're hiring out, the work will be front loaded, meaning you'll have to establish processes, templates, wireframes, and workflows. But once that machine is set, it can be smoother sailing since offloading the work will let you focus on higher leverage work like getting the right guests, doing your interviews, and then integrating that into your business. So whichever route you decide to go, once you have your final files, you'll upload them to your hosting platform of choice. I use Acast for audio and YouTube for video, and then schedule your episode. Once it's live, it's all about promotion. I explain how to promote episodes in the book, but one thing I didn't cover was how to get your guests to participate in blowing up the episode. So attached to this lesson, you will also find a templated email that you can customize to send to your guest where you'll include pre-written copy paste social posts for their convenience. Also, make sure to tag your guest in all of your promo posts too and create snippets to share on stories, newsletters, your private group, and even in prospecting work. And don't just share your show or your snippets one time. These are recurring assets. I talk about this in the book too, where as long as your show is evergreen, you can and should be promoting it weeks, months, even sometimes years out from the initial recording and publishing date.